His fingers were on me before I could think to close my robe, pressing me against the living room wall with a force that stole my breath. I gasped not from pain, but from a longing I hadn't felt in years. Ryan Parker's lips were hot, urgent, unforgiving. Nothing like David's, whose touch had grown cold and distant. My body betrayed every vow I'd made, and in that moment, I let it. I let Ryan carry me into the shadowed hallway of our Seattle bungalow. No light, no guilt, no second thoughts. My name is Laura Mitchell. I'm 39, a suburban wife living in the misty outskirts of Seattle, Washington. To the outside world, I had it all: a charming craftsman home with a cedar porch, a stable life, and a husband who paid the bills. But beneath snatched the surface. I was withering, dying quietly in a house that echoed with silence. David, my husband, was a practical man, a software engineer who lived for logic and routine. He was never cruel, but he was rarely warm. For months, maybe years, we'd become strangers sharing a mortgage. Our conversations dwindled to grunts about utility bills or grocery lists. The spark long gone, the passion a distant memory. Somewhere along the way, I'd become invisible, forgotten even to myself. It was a rainy Saturday afternoon when it happened. David had left early for a tech conference in Portland, one of his frequent weekend trips he never invited me to join. I did what I always did when he was gone: cleaned the house, took a long bath, and slipped into my favourite burgundy robe, soft against my skin with nothing underneath. A guilty pleasure I kept to myself. The Seattle rain pattered against the windows, and I lit the gas fireplace, poured a glass of Merlot, and curled up on the couch, intending to lose myself in a novel for hours. Then came the knock at the door, slow, deliberate. No doorbell. I hesitated. I wasn't expecting anyone, no deliveries, no neighbours, no friends. But something urged me to open the door. When I did, I caught my breath. Ryan Parker stood there, taller than I remembered, his face calm but unreadable. Ryan, David's old college friend, had crashed on our couch years ago when we were newlyweds. I hadn't seen him in over 4 years. He looked different, broader, darker, his jaw lined with a thick beard, his eyes scanning me like a book he'd memorized. "Hey," he said, his voice low, his gaze flickering to my bare thighs beneath the robe. David asked me to drop off his laptop bag. He left it in my car last week. He held up the bag, but I barely noticed, my mind spinning. I opened the door wider, and as he stepped inside, the air shifted. His eyes caught the gap in my robe, and though he tried to hide it, a flicker of desire crossed his face. I offered him a glass of wine, and he accepted. We sat on the couch, too close, his woody cologne filling the space between us. Every time I shifted, my knee brushed his, my hand grazed his arm. Each accidental touch was a spark, igniting something neither of us dared name. He laughed at my stories, leaning closer, and for a moment, we froze, his face inches from mine. He whispered something I couldn't catch, my heart pounding too loudly to hear. Then, without warning, his hand found my knee. I should have stopped him, but before I could speak, He kissed me hungry, angry, raw. His hands pushed the robe off my shoulders, and I melted into him. The sound of my wineglass hitting the floor echoed as the cold window pressed against my back. I moaned his name, shameless, reckless. It didn't feel like cheating. It felt like breathing. He lifted me effortlessly, laying me across the couch, his mouth tracing every inch of my skin as if I'd been missing from his life for years. I felt alive, seen, wanted. When it was over, when we lay tangled in sweat and sin, I didn't ask him to leave. I asked him to stay. Guilt didn't hit me that night, not when Ryan carried me to the bedroom, not when he whispered my name against my neck, not when we moved together under the same sheets I shared with David. I fell asleep in his arms, our legs entwined, and for the first time in years, I felt whole. Morning light poured through the curtains, harsh and accusing. My robe lay crumpled on the floor, my skin aching in the most exquisite way. I turned to see Ryan sleeping, his lips slightly parted, his arm draped across my waist. For a moment, I smiled. Then David's voice echoed in my mind, distant but familiar. Pick up those bathroom shelves we talked about while I'm gone. Reality crashed over me. This wasn't just a secret, it was a dangerous, beautiful mess. I slipped out of bed, my hands trembling as I poured coffee downstairs. My phone buzzed a text from David. Landed safely. Conference starts at noon. Back before Sunday. I stared at the words, each one a weight pulling me under. Ryan appeared behind me, his shirt unbuttoned, revealing the toned chest I'd memorized the night before. "Morning," he murmured, his arms wrapping around me, his lips brushing my neck. I flinched. "Someone's regretting already," he said, stepping back. "I'm married." "Ryan," I said, my voice shaking. He gave a bitter laugh. "You weren't married last night. You didn't run. You just went upstairs." I fled to the bathroom, locking the door, my heart pounding, sitting on the toilet lid. I tried to piece myself together. Ryan had been David's college roommate for 2 years. A charming but reckless man who flirted with anything that moved. David used to laugh it off. That's just Ryan. Back then. He was a fleeting thrill. Never serious. But the Ryan I saw yesterday was different, quieter. More intense. His gaze cutting through me like a blade. Loneliness has a way of blurring boundaries. And I'd changed too. Hollowed out by years of neglect. I thought it would end there, a one-time mistake. But Ryan called that night, his voice like honey and smoke. "I can't stop thinking about you," he said. I told him it had to end. He agreed. But 2 nights later, we were together again. This time in his truck, parked behind an old storage facility near Fremont. He undressed me like a starving man, and I let him. I wanted to feel needed, to forget I'd become invisible in my own home. He touched me like he was claiming me, not seducing me, and I gave myself to him completely. When David returned, I kissed his cheek and asked about his trip, as if I didn't carry another man's scent on my skin. That night, while David snored beside me, I texted Ryan. "I miss your touch." He replied instantly, "Meet me tomorrow." And I did again and again. It became our secret world, stolen hours in hotel rooms. Quick moments in his truck. Moments where I wore lace under my jeans and left my wedding ring in the glove compartment. I started dressing differently, tighter blouses, bolder lipstick. David noticed but said nothing, too consumed by code and deadlines. One night at dinner, he looked up from his plate. "You seem happier," he said. I smiled. "Just trying something new." He nodded. "It suits you. If only he knew." Ryan started calling me his little secret, reveling in how I moaned his name, how I begged for more. He said no woman had ever melted for him like I did. I believed him. I wanted to. But something inside me began to rot. I wasn't just cheating on David, I was betraying the woman I used to respect. It unravelled on a Thursday. I was with Ryan, tangled in a hotel bed, when David's name lit up my phone. I froze, but Ryan kept moving. The phone rang and rang. Finally, I answered, breathless, pretending I was cleaning the attic. Just a reminder about dinner with the Wilsons tonight. David said, "I'd forgotten." "Of course." I lied. After he hung up, I looked at Ryan, sweat glistening on his chest, my body still tingling. But nausea crept in. "This is getting dangerous," I said. He kissed me hard. "That's what makes it worth it," he whispered. At the dinner, David stared at my neck too long. "Is that a bruise?" he asked. I touched it instinctively, a faint mark Ryan had left near my collarbone, just a burn from my curling iron. I said. He frowned, but didn't push. For the first time, I saw suspicion in his eyes, and fear replaced desire. What if he found out? What if this all collapsed? Ryan became a flame hot, fast, addictive. But I hadn't realized that flames, when unchecked, burn everything in their path. The cracks appeared the day I came home to find David in the living room, holding my burner phone, the one Ryan had bought for our secret texts and late-night calls. I'd left it in my gym bag, zipped away, hidden. Or so I thought. David looked up, his expression empty, too calm. "What's this?" he asked, holding up the black phone. My mouth went dry, my legs weak. "I don't know." I lied. He raised an eyebrow. "Then why's it in your gym bag?" My heart pounded so hard I could barely think. I reached for the phone, but he pulled it back. "Want to explain the messages? Or should I read them aloud?" I froze, my mind scrambling for a lie. But there was nothing left. He knew not everything, but enough. "I can't believe this," he said. "Standing? With who? Who is it?" I swallowed hard, the room spinning. "David, please, let's talk." "You spread your legs for someone else," he said. The words slicing through me. They were true, and they were brutal. I stood there, shame dripping over me like sweat. Then he did something unexpected. He walked past me, grabbed his keys, and left. No shouting, no slamming doors, just silence. Louder than any scream. I collapsed on the floor as the front door closed, the weight of my actions crashing down. Ryan had warned me the fantasy would catch up with us. He just never said how fast or how cruelly. I called him, and he answered on the second ring. He found the phone. I whispered. A long pause. Did he read anything? He saw enough. Another pause. Then Ryan said something that chilled my blood. Maybe it's time to stop pretending. Let it all fall apart. Come to me. I was stunned.
Ryan, I never said I'd leave him. He laughed, cold and certain. You didn't have to. You showed it every time you came to me. I hung up, my hands shaking. For the first time, I questioned Ryan, not just what we were doing, but who he was.
The next few days were a nightmare.
David barely spoke, sleeping in the guest room, coming home late, avoiding my gaze. His silence hurt more than any accusation. I tried to talk once. In the kitchen. David, I never meant to hurt you. I was lonely. I felt invisible. He didn't look up from his coffee. So you slept with my friend? I had no response. Only tears.
Ryan grew more possessive, demanding to see me, hating when I ignored his calls. He started showing up unannounced outside my Pilates class, at the grocery store. You're mine now, he said one night, gripping my wrist too tightly after pulling me into his truck. Stop playing house with him. I yanked my hand away. You don't own me. Ryan. His eyes darkened. You gave yourself to me. That means something. That's when I saw it. Ryan wasn't just the passionate escape I'd craved. There was something dangerous in him. Something obsessive.
It got worse. One evening, David came home and placed a manila envelope on the kitchen table. Inside were photos me and Ryan in his truck. Outside a motel. Even at my yoga studio. He'd been watching me. Or had hired someone to. A note in David's handwriting read, I know everything. I stared at the evidence of my destruction. My betrayal of the man who'd given me 15 years of his life.
The final blow came on a Friday night. David had been distant all day. I was folding laundry in the bedroom when I heard the front door open, followed by heavy, urgent footsteps. I stepped into the hallway as Ryan burst into my house. My house? What the hell are you doing? I gasped. He held up a spare key. You gave me this. Remember. Before I could respond, David appeared behind him, clutching a baseball bat, his voice eerily calm. Drop the key. Ryan turned, smirking. Oh, so the husband wants to play tough now? David stepped closer. I told you to leave her alone. Ryan laughed. You should thank me. I gave her what you never could. I screamed as David swung the bat, missing Ryan by inches. Ryan dropped the key and backed away. Fine. You two deserve each other broken and boring. He stormed out, slamming the door. I collapsed, trembling. David stood still, then dropped the bat. He looked at me, his voice a whisper. Get out. I begged. I cried. I promised to change, but he'd made up his mind. You chose this, he said. Now live with it. He didn't shout or cry. He packed a suitcase for me and told me to leave. That night, I moved to a small apartment in Renton, 2 towns away, alone. Ryan tried to contact me. I blocked every number. I couldn't look at my reflection without disgust. I'd been selfish, reckless, destroying something beautiful. Over the next 8 months, David filed for divorce quietly. No drama, just cold distance. I heard he started dating Megan, the woman from his office. I hoped she treated him better than I had. I haven't been with anyone since. I don't trust myself. Some nights, I lie awake, remembering the thrill, the passion, the danger. But it always comes with the pain of what I lost. I traded loyalty for lust, and lost everything. Infidelity isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it starts softly, a glance, a conversation, a lonely heart craving more. But if you're not careful, that craving can burn your world to ash.